Good morning. This is... Oh, voice has gone there. That's a good start, isn't it? Good morning. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I am Owen James, and this is your latest Rangers news. This is the latest episode of your morning show here on Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys, as we take the podcast to the next level. Well, look, it's what are we on now? We're on Tuesday. Yeah, we're on Tuesday. In the podcast, we'll go through what we've got coming up this week. We've got some member event coming up this week. We've also got plenty of podcasts, plenty of information, plenty of stuff coming up, daily videos, lots of stuff to come up. We'll go over that as my chair collapses again. We're going to talk all things today. We're going to talk, obviously, the two topics that have come up as news coming out of last night. I've got to say, I was stuck at work. I was walking around doing reductions, and I got an interesting message from my good friend Sarah McGeekin. She messaged me saying, what's a report about Tav going? I said, is there? I haven't seen them. I'm stuck at work. So snuck away, went in the office, I look. Yeah, it looks like that, there's a possibility there. We'll talk a little bit about the Tav exit story. We're also going to talk as well about Yanis Hagi, who has yet again used the media to get his story into the kind of the talking points amongst Rangers fans, amongst Romania fans, coming out of last night's Nations League game. Hagi obviously is away with the Romania national squad, has been picked. Romania coach Mircea Lucescu staying faithful to Yanis, allowing him game time, allowing him to train with the Romania full squad. And so Hagi came on last night. He was on the bench, came on, played very, very well indeed by all accounts. Rated 4.6 out of 5. Looking at the ratings coming out from last victory for Romania over Lithuania. Although Hagi didn't start the game, he did, like I said, get on at some point. Who we've got in the live chat this morning? We've got Matt says hello, Matt. How you doing, buddy? We've also got Scott, who wants to get rid of both Hagi and Tav. We've got always been a Hagi fan, says hi. Morning, says Dado. Love the glyph there, Dado. Well, good morning, all, says Grant. We've got also faithful to his dad. Scott says that's obviously Yanis, faithful to his dad. Scott, to be fair, you get rid of 50% of the squad. They're terrible. I think there's a lot of deadwood at Rangers still. There's still a lot of swamp draining needs to go on with this squad. Well, in case you haven't seen what Yanis said last night, post-game, this was all post-game. This is what Yanis Hagi had to say post-match. Let's have I can get these comments in the right order. Yes, maybe is it that the right first one? Let me just double check these comments, guys. That's the first one. So this is what Yanis Hagi had to say. He said, "It's all down to me. I know what I've been through for the last 6 weeks. I did the training with the second team. I did the physical training. Mister knows how much I pulled myself to be present here." I think that's Mircea. A bit of bad translation there. Mircea Lucescu. That is a bit of a dodgy translation there of Mircea Lucescu from the Romanian, because obviously Hagi would have given this this information obviously in Romanian. This is my passion. I'm going back to Rangers. I have 1 year left on my contract there. I gave them 2 public messages, which we know he did. He made that statement, didn't he, which came through Instagram. Just switch the mic. There we go. And everyone knows them. So we know the comments that Yanis made. We know that know that what he said, about wanting to play for Rangers, are kind of putting into a little bit of doubt what Philippe Clement had said, putting into a little bit of saying that putting Clement in a bit of a difficult position, really showing that what Clement said may not have been the whole truth. Second part of the comment, he says, "I love the club. I'm ready to fight for the fans, for what the huge club means in Europe. I'm there. I'm back. I'm fighting for the coach, for the team. They know who I am as a person, as a footballer. Tomorrow, I go back to Glasgow and start all over again. I fight." So certainly a very defiant message from Yanis Hagi. Obviously, Yanis wants to remain with Rangers. He wants to play with Rangers. He wants to, get back into the first team fold. Now, I think we're in a difficult position with Yanis Hagi. There's quite clear that there is a desire there from Yanis to play for the club. He clearly has a passion for the club, a passion for the fans, a passion to actually play the game again. So, that is all very positive. And I think, if you said to any Rangers fan, what is it you want more than anything else about the players on the park? And I think the vast majority of Rangers fans would say, we want players who want to play for us. We want players who want to turn up game in, game out and fight for the badge, who want to fight for the club, who understand the passion that we give and match the passion that we give on the pitch. I think if 70, 80% of this squad matched the passion that the fans have for the club on the park, we'd be 15, 20 points clear of Celtic by the end of most seasons. I think that, we would be well and truly gone from them, because it's quite clear our fans are very passionate. Our fans want this club, the best for this club. Our fans love this club. And if the players had the same passion and love, then we would be a long way ahead of Celtic. I think Hagi is displaying through his comments to the Romanian media last night that he has a strong desire to remain at Rangers. Now, I believe there's kind of twofold argument to this whole Hagi yes or no argument. I think there's a twofold argument to the whole Hagi situation. I think there's the obviously the people that don't want Hagi here, that want him out of the club, but there's also the Hagi crowd that want him to remain, that want him to play. And I think there's a chance to find a happy medium between the both, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's have a quick look at your comments this morning. No to Hagi for me, nor Tav, says Grant Willis. Scott Hammond says, Hagi is here because no one will match his wages. It's Clement's decision or the board's regarding money, contracts, etc. I mean, we know that. I mean, obviously, Hagi has no say, does he, Scott, over whether he plays or not. He can say, I want to play. I want to fight for my place. I want to be part of this Rangers team. But if the manager doesn't fancy him, if the manager doesn't want to play him, if the board won't pay him, the alleged, I mean, let's face it, this whole £6,000 a week extra, this whole 1.5 million to Genk if he makes 100 appearances, rumours that have suddenly started circulating as well, are just what they are. They're rumours, they're reports. None of us know for certain whether there is that £6,000 clause. None of us know for certain whether there is the 1.5 million clause. These are merely speculations in the media, as trying to find reasons why Hagi won't be played for Rangers. So I don't think we can possibly comment on that until we know the actual truth. And I don't think we ever will, because this is the terms of a private contract between a club and a player. And the same way that your workplace wouldn't reveal your contract to anyone else. GDPR, I think it's called. Thought he wanted to leave at the start of the summer, says Scott. I mean, that's what people have said. I think there was a frustration there for Hagi. Hagi is better than Lawrence. I feel for the boy, says David in the comments. Has the club confirmed it's actually about the wage increase if he plays again? I mean, that's the thing, Pablo Bar. No one has confirmed that. Hagi didn't want to be here until no one wanted him. Before the Euros, he instructed his team to find a new club. Now that hasn't happened, he wants back in the fold, says Grant. Grant casting a bit of aspersions. If Tav makes a statement in a similar vibe, it won't make him a better player. Agreed. And Gary says Hagi is pish. Right. Like I said, I think there's two sides to this Hagi argument. And like I said, I think there's a lot of people, who don't want Hagi to play, who don't like Hagi, who don't want him back in the squad. But I think for me, there is a bit of bad business in here. There is a bit of bad management, a bit of bad man management, from the manager in this. And Philippe Clement, we hear from his former assistants, we hear from people who've worked with him in the past, that one of the things that that Clement prides himself on is his man management skills. That's what it's always been. It's always been that he prides himself on his ability to manage players, to get the best out of players, to resonate with his players. He makes a lot of these one-to-one chats that he has with players in pre-season and during the season. He makes a lot of this man-to-man conversations he has with his team. Now, the one concern I've got with this whole situation is that it is very bad man management. It is very bad player management. It is very bad business as well. Now, we don't know the exact amount of wages that Yanis Hagi's on. I've read 21 grand a week somewhere. I've read 24 grand a week somewhere else. I've read 27 grand a week somewhere else. I've read 26 grand a week somewhere else. So there's a number of sources quoting a number of different values on Hagi's weekly wage. Now, if we take, say, 24 grand a week as a potential salary, right? Or we just take the fact that Hagi is quite clearly on 20 grand, more than £20,000 a week, okay? So if Hagi is earning more than £20,000 a week, if that's what he's earning, okay, more than 20 grand a week, then the guy is bringing in over £1 million a year from Rangers. Okay, so that he's taking over 1 million out of the club. Just it's about 1.04 million. Okay, if he's on 24 grand a week, he is currently taking out of Rangers in the value of 1.248 million pounds out of the club on a yearly basis. Okay, and that's without bonuses, etc., etc. Now, that means at this moment in time, because our transfer window closed on the 30th, yes, the Turkish window is open until the 13th. The Qatari window closed yesterday. Because of that, we are currently paying a player £24,000 a week, or plus 20 grand, over 20 grand a week, to sit in the B team, to train with the B team. And when it comes to match day, either sit in the stands or sit at home on his sofa, and we're paying him over £1 million a year to do that, right? So that for me makes absolutely zero sense. Now, the other thing that you do by not playing a player or not having a player with your first team squad, I'm not saying for a minute start Yanis Hagi. I'm not saying that for a minute, okay? I'm not saying start him. I'm not saying that he should be starting the starting 10 week in, week out. But watch him in the Euros. Watch him last night. He's a good player. Yes, Gary, I know he hasn't got a lot of pace, but there's a lot of players that, I mean, Gary, name me one player on our team that's got pace, that actually plays week in, week out. I mean, Tom Lawrence has got no pace. Tav's got no pace. Diamande's not particularly quick. Barron's not particularly quick. Dessers is slow as a cart horse. Suter's not particularly quick. Jefte's quick. Tondo's quick when he's fit, when his leg isn't injured. So I do think, that there is a lot of that narrative about him being too slow to play, I think is slightly false, because I think we play a lot of players who are not fast enough anyway in this team. There's a lot of players in this squad that are not fast enough at this moment in play. Yeah, Jefte, I'll give you half Jefte, Gary, but there's not a lot of fit players in this squad. Fast players, sorry, in this squad. There's not a lot of fit players either. Cortez is quite quick, but he's a winger. Wingers are expected to be quick, but Dessers isn't quick. Lawrence isn't quick. Cantwell wasn't particularly quick. Like I said, Dio's not particularly quick. Barron's not particularly quick. So, that's where we're up to with this. This guy, I think that narrative about him being too slow to play is a little bit false in my humble opinion. Yes, as Scott says, Lawrence plays and slow. Curry Muncher, hey Curry, good morning. How are you this morning? That's just Hagi. Then there's a minimum of £4,000 a week for Lowry, King, and Devine, and another £500,000 minimum out the door for no return. Correct. Now, this is my argument about Hagi. Focusing on Hagi is, if Hagi sits in the stands until January on £24,000, £21,000, £20,000, £27,000, whatever he's on a week, okay, taking over £1 million out of the club, then what do? We pay this player for doing nothing. And the other thing is, you are showing, like we did with Cantwell, when we only got £650,000, I think it's 650 in the end, it's been said to be. We are depressing the value of a player. We are showing that a player, we don't want this player. He's not part of our player. Good morning, DL. What are you having for breakfast, buddy? Good to hear you having a big breakfast. We're putting a player into a position where we're showing other clubs we don't want him. He's not a player we want. We don't want this player. Get him out of the team. Okay, you're not wanted here. Just stay in the B team. Train with the B team and deal with it. Okay? Now, any club that's looking in from the outside is going to go, well, right, Yanis Hagi, £3.5-4 million at this moment in time. Okay, that's probably what he's worth. Okay, 3.5. I know some people said 6, 7, but he hasn't played regularly. He's not worth 6, 7. So 3.5, 4, right? No club is going to give us £3.5-4 million for Yanis Hagi now, because we have depressed his value. Okay, we've forced down his value through what we've done. And for me, and Gary's right, it's another board shambles. Yeah, it is another board shambles. It's not just the board though, Gary. It's the manager. It's Coppen. It's the whole management structure. And I've spoken about the board structure, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I've got a podcast planned for some point this week to talk about investment, to talk about the future of the club, to talk about the overhaul that's needed, the restructure that's needed, the way that we should restructure the club. I'm working on something for this week, so don't worry, that will be coming up shortly. But the Hagi situation is where we are depressing this guy's value. We are pushing his value down. Now, any club that comes in January is going to sit there and go, right, He's out of contract soon. They don't want him. They're putting him in the B team. They're not playing him. They're not interested in using him. £1 million tops. £1 million tops. And then we're taking a lot on that player. We're losing money on the player. And are Rangers really in a financial position where we can afford to take big hits on player transfer fees? Certainly not. Certainly not. Gary, I'm not saying starting. What I'm saying is we should be using him in the first team squad, at least putting him into the first team squad, even if it's bringing him on for 15, 20 minutes. The guy can't do any worse than what we presently have. And there is an absolute massive lack of quality in this squad. You know, there is a huge lack of quality. And whether you rate Hagi or don't rate Hagi, okay, whether you like Hagi as a player or you don't think Hagi's good enough, morning, Michael, you know, is whatever. But he's better than Lawrence. He's better than Lowry. He's better than what's he called? That Ross McCausland. He's better than a lot of players we've got on this squad at this moment in time. And that is, yes, that partly that is down to the complete lack of quality we have in this squad. But if we are putting him back into the first team and using him even as a sub, okay, as a sub, you know, bringing him on to play, you know, to spell Dio, to bring him on to, you know, I think Hagi doesn't have to play as a 10 either. He can play in a 6 role. He can play in an 8 role. He can play in a 10 role as well. So, yes, Bayrami is the big hope at 10. And I hope that Bayrami comes in, is a baller, and is a fantastic footballer. Of course I do. And I've got big hopes for Bayrami. Bayrami is certainly a player that is exciting a lot of us as Rangers fans. And we all hope that Bayrami goes on to be a huge success for the club. I'm not saying, you know, that we don't, or that Hagi should play ahead of him. But what I'm saying is we are doing a really bad job of pushing Hagi's transfer value down, of saying to clubs, come and rip us off again. Come and treat us like a bunch of muppets. Come and lowball us again. Come and show us the disrespect again. And this is bad management. It's bad direction. It's bad football transfer policy. And the club for too long now is putting itself in a place where it is not getting high value for the assets that we have. And like I said, as a football club, can we really afford to lose money on players at this moment in time? No, because you look at the situation in the Scottish game, even in the Scottish game now, I'm not talking about the European game, we are light years, not even, you know, close to Celtic in financially. They are light years ahead of us financially. Their balance sheet is in massively healthy balance sheet with a huge amount of money sitting in their coffers. We are not in that same position to compete. You know, as Graham Souness has said, as Ali McCoist has said, we need to spend 40, 50 million to even get level with them. Money we just don't have. So can we really afford to be losing players like Yanis Hagi for phenomenal fees, like we did with Todd Cantwell, because we were very short-sighted with the approach we took to those players? And you look around the world, you look at top managers, top clubs, Manchester Cities, the Chelseas, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, the Real Madrids of this world. They don't treat their players the way we treat our players. They don't force players out on the whole unless that player has been a bad influence. And Hagi has not been a bad influence. Hagi is not causing a stink in the dressing room. He's not posting weird shit on social media. He's not coming out and slagging anybody off. He's not coming out and criticizing the club. At no point has he come out and said Philippe Clement is to blame for all this. He's not blamed the manager. He's not caused any trouble. So if he was causing trouble, I would understand shutting him out, because we know what bad apples can do. Bad apples can ruin a barrel. We know bad apples spoiled. One bad apple ruins a whole barrel of apples, doesn't it? That's right. Talking about apples. But, you know, that's where we're up to. Let's have a quick flick through your comments. Thank you for that, Michael. F217 says the treatment of Hagi is a global embarrassment. Hagi plays in the B team, but he still gets in the Romanian national team. Previous managers didn't fancy him either, though. Why is that? I'll tell you, because he's not good enough. He's still way better than Lawrence. I have to agree on that. Less than a year left on his contract. No one wants him except the Romanian clubs who can't afford him. If nobody wants to buy him for the wages, they won't pay his wage increase. How hard is that to understand? I agreed. Let's watch the Albanian lad first. CJ, hey, how you doing, buddy? Thank you to John. Grant Wills, Hagi has nothing to do with PC or Coppen. He was here and his deal was done before they were ever on the scene. If he gets 20 minutes or more, then apparently it's another 1.4 million due to Genk. Allegedly, we don't know. Hagi can create goals. Give him a chance. Give the guy a chance, says Billy J. When does Hagi's contract expire? 2025, 2026. Do we have to pay 1.4 million to Genk if he plays one more game? Alan, like I said, a few moments ago, none of us actually know whether this, £6,000 a week extra. None of us know if the £6,000 is true. None of us know if the 1.4 million is true. Nobody from the club has officially confirmed it. Hagi's camp has officially confirmed it either. So I don't know. No one actually really knows the truth, Alan, on that one. He is out of contract in May 2026. So it's not this summer coming, not 25, it's 26. So he's got a little bit longer left on his deal. So that's even more reason to pull him in, raise his value back up again. We're putting ourselves in a stupid position here. If players do not have work ethic and know they have no one to replace them, they can play as bad as they want with no consequences. Curry, that's a fantastic point. Look, at the end of the day, you need a squad that has two players for every position. You need someone pushing the other player. Now, you guys know that I'm a big, massive, huge NFL fan. I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. With the guy who's the coach of Pittsburgh Steelers, and I've said this a number of times on pods, on videos, whatever, has this saying: iron sharpens iron, two dogs, one bone, right? Two dogs, one bone. If you've got two dogs and one bone, and the two dogs have a fight for the bone, guess which dog gets the bone? The strongest dog. But both of those dogs fight hard for that bone because they both want that bone. Now, put that into a football analogy. If you've got one shirt for the right back, one shirt for the left back, you've got two centre-half positions, you've got one right wing, one left wing, one striker, 110. If you've got two players fighting for that one position, they're going to push each other's levels. They're going to push each other up because the strongest 10 or the strongest right back or the strongest left back or the strongest striker is going to come through to win that battle. And if you've got two good players going for the same position, iron sharpens iron, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, mate. Rangers great again. He's defo better than most mentioned, but he won't be picked. We have to accept it. I mean, I think you're true, Gary. He's not going to be. Prime example, Tavernier. Is Dessers is another one, scores 2 against crap Ross County, and he's a world beater. Scott, I don't want to get into Dessers. I've had enough abuse over Dessers this morning. How do you know that what goes behind the scenes? That's what I've said, William. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know what is going on with this contract. None of us know what the situation is with the contract. We've heard in the media that it's a £6,000 pay rise for Hagi if he plays over 100 games. We've heard it's a 1.5 million payout to Genk if he plays 100 games. Nobody actually knows that truth. No one knows whether that's actually true or not. None of us here have read Yanis Hagi's contract. The club have not released the terms of Yanis Hagi's contract because the club won't release the terms of Yanis Hagi's contract because it would breach GDPR and they would find themselves in a lot of legal trouble. So, which they're very good at, which, as we know, Rangers board are very good at. But look, at the end of the day, we're not gonna know, until something actually comes out about it. Until one of the two parties, e.g., probably Hagi, comes out and says something, whether it's true or not. Clemon's the man management skills are terrible. I would agree with that. His man management skills are not good. 1.4 million. Where did that come from, Scott? That's exactly. This is a great point here from Scott. Radio silence from the board leaves all our issues open to rumours and speculation that needs clearing up. This is a great point. Like I said, I'm planning a podcast on the board, on investment, on the whole restructure, the management restructure that needs to go in place at the club. I am planning something on that. Shug Scotland. Who's better, Hagi or Dow? Come on, if you have any knowledge of football, you'll know Hagi's better, so why not play him? Even if you don't want him, it puts him in the shop window. This is my argument, Shug. Put him in the shop window. William says, his so-called agent came out and said he only had a year left. Nobody wants him at 20 grand a week, so nobody will want him at 25 grand a week. True, but we don't know what we don't know what his actual contract is. Like I said, William, I've read so many different terms. I've read 24 grand, 20 grand, 21 grand, 27 grand, 26 grand. I've read a number of different weekly wages. And when you go on all these sites like Apology, etc., they all have what is suggested. If we don't actually know, we weren't in a position of strength to comment. I reckon he walks for free next summer. We should be paying Genk another penny. It's 2026, though, Alan. He's on our contract. Dow is about as much use as a handbrake on a canoe. Lol, I love that one, Gary. That's a good one. Dow, strange signing. We need a leader on the pitch to motivate these players. Nothing to do with the 1.4 million. It's about an extra 6. John, we don't know. As this is the thing. We can't comment from a position of strength on this 1.4 million term or this 1.5 million term. William says, what board come out in football and speak? William, you hear from chief executives of other clubs on a regular basis. We haven't got one at the moment. John Bennett is allegedly the chief executive as well as the chairman. You hear from people like Berardi at Manchester United. You hear regularly from people like Paul Mitchell at Newcastle. You hear regularly from people like what's he called? The guy at I can't remember the guy's name at Manchester City, but yeah, from someone like him. The only people who can clear up the Hagi issue and the shambles of a board until they're gone, our great club will remain in decline until serious estimate is required. This is where official fan media comes in. And why has Clement not been asked why Hagi is not being included? Is he not good enough, or is it contractual reasons? Exactly. This is what we need to do. 2025 or Hagi, his agent, and Salary Sport are all liars, Owen. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking this off Transfer Market, mate. That's what Transfer Market are saying. It's May 26. Transfer Market are usually fairly accurate with what they say about contract terms. Gary says something's not adding up either with the whole Hagi stuff. There's defo some money shit going on for us not to put him in. The board, wouldn't put it past them being this shit. Curry Muncher, Clement never gets asked any hard questions. It's like the media are scared to ask him anything real. I think Shug's got the issue around that is the fact that a lot of fan media and a lot of the media are scared to have their access withdrawn. I think the issue is if you go in and you start causing trouble in press conferences and asking difficult questions, you will have, and I'm not defending them here. I think that people from fan media, I think people from the real media should actually ask these difficult questions. Should actually come out and say, well, are you not playing Hagi because you don't think he fits your system, because you don't think he's a good enough player, or are you playing, with Hagi? Are you not playing Hagi because if we do play in front of the game, we've got to pay $6,000 and $1.5 million? I mean, ask the question. I mean, what's the worst that he can refuse to answer it, or he can give his usual, roundabout, I'm not talking about that kind of answer. I don't know. For me, there has to be more tougher questions asked, and I think we will see a very interesting presser ahead of the Dundee United game. I think it's a shame, obviously, there was no game last weekend. I think we would have seen a very different presser to the one we'll see this week. Last week, one had happened last week after the Celtic game. But yeah, I agree. I think there is tougher questions do need to be asked. Pablo Barr says, why is Rice not being given game time? Mate, don't get me started on Bailey Rice. I mean, honestly, that lad should be playing. Shug Scotland, absolutely. Probably cheaper to use Hagi as his valuation goes up. We get an extra body for cover or starter. Agreed. I mean, look, last point on the Hagi situation. I mean, I honestly believe that for the good of Hagi, for the good of the club, and for the good of getting some decent financing for Hagi when we sell him, which we're going to do. I mean, let's face it. If it is that he isn't part of Clement's plans, he is going to be sold. So at the end of the day, for me, you've got to pick him because you've got to use him at least. I'm not saying start him, but at least put him back in with the first team. Get him on the bench. Get him on for 15, 20 minutes here. Raise his value back up, because all we're doing now is putting a situation where in January, if he leaves, it's $1 million, $500,000 at tops, where we should be getting 3, 4, $4.5 million for the player. It's bad business. It's bad transfer management. It's bad transfer policy. It's bad man management, and it makes our club look bad to other players. What message is this saying to other clubs, to other players? Come to Rangers, because if you fall out with the manager, you'll get stuck in the B team and no one wants you. I don't think it's sending the right message to players either. And I think the way we've managed the whole Hagi situation, financially, playing wise, man management wise, has been poor from the Michael Beale era. And I'm not just saying it's Clement. Beale, the way he treated him was appalling. The fact that Hagi came out and said, I just want to play. Then Beale kicks him out of the team to Alaveth. Then you get Clement coming in saying he's not part of my plans. He's not R10. Get rid of him. I'm not playing him. I'm not using him. Blah, blah, blah. Stick him in the B team. Depresses his value. Means we're going to get low board. Means we're going to get nothing for him or cheap for him. It's all just absolutely shocking from Rangers. It really is bad management. Alan Austin says 1.4 million to buy Hagi outright for 9 months. Lose at Dundee United and it's all over for Phil, but the board will hang on to him for as long as possible, says Alan Morrison. all that will happen is we win against Dundee United and all the problems will be forgotten about. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I mean, we've got to remember there is always issues. There is issues. We still have issues. We still need to. There's a lot we need to do to sort this club out, to put our club back where it deserves to be, back on the top of Scottish football. That's just a plain fact, guys. News just breaking, guys. Ryan Jack is currently in Turkey, with the media now reporting he is on the cusp of a move to Irakspor, who play in the second division of Turkish football. So apparently, Ryan Jack is going to move to a Turkish second division team called Irakspor to get his career back underway. Interesting. That is being reported by Turkish media at this moment in time. Grant says, I just want a style of play from one game to the next. You don't know what the style will be. Under Gerrard, it was high press. Even Beale and GVB had a style as boring as it was to watch. There's a lot riding on the new players, says CJ, and I agree. There's a lot of riding on Bayrami. Bayrami is carrying a hell of a lot on his shoulders going into this games this weekend. Curry Muncher says, there is a reason we go through as many managers. We will not accept failure or second best. Agreed. Beale banged on Hagi getting a sale off his loan to solve the 100-game situation, says Alan. I mean, that could, like I said, it could be true. I mean, we don't know until someone actually comes out and says, or someone asks, or someone finds out the key bits of information, or his agent comes forward, or whoever. We don't actually know the situation with Hagi. We don't know whether this $6,000, 1.5 million clauses, whether they're actual real clauses or whether they're just a load of media bollocks that have been made up by people. Like I said, there's a lot going on. But, I think the statement that Hagi's made has quite clearly put the ball firmly back in Clement's court. This statement that he came out with, I love the fan, I love the club, I'm ready to fight for the fans, for the huge club, means in Europe, I'm there, I'm back, I'm fighting for the coach, for the team. They know who I am as a person, as a footballer. Tomorrow, I go back to Glasgow and start all over again. I fight. So it's quite clear that Hagi wants to fight for a place. He wants to fight to get back. He wants to be part of this squad. Interesting. What else have we got here? Lightning Tree says, Hagi's made things difficult for the manager by openly wanting away. That now that no team bid for him, he expects us to believe he really cares about playing for the team. I mean, we've got to obviously take what he says trust. I mean, that's all we've got at the end of the day. I think if Rangers lose to Celtic in January, things are going to be worse than they are now. Michael, I think you're very, very much right. We don't know. Second tier, Curry. Second tier. SPL to second tier Turkish football says all about the standard of players we had last season. Scott wants to know Clement in or out. John says, I would like to ask straight out what he has against Hagi. I think that would be an interesting question to ask, why Hagi is not part of the squad, and press him on it and push him on it. I think that would be a very, very good thing to do. Right, let's move it along. Let's talk a little bit about this man here. So there is a number of media reports. Quick point from Grant on the Hagi situation. If there isn't a payment due to Genk, then you think Hagi or his team would clear this up. True. Like I said, someone needs to come out and sort it out. Right, let's move it on to the James Tavernier situation. Tavernier, whatever you want to call him. Let's just call him Tav from now on. Right, so what is the situation with Tav? Right, so Tav's in a very, very bad position at his club at this moment in time. He really genuinely is. He is in a position where, he's getting an awful lot of abuse from fans. He's getting an awful lot of abuse, in terms of where we are at this moment in time. It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. So just quick finish off on the Hagi situation. The poll that I put up at the start: should Yanis Hagi be reintegrated into the first team squad? 77% of you say yes. 23% of you say no. So the vast majority of watchers this morning are saying yes to Yanis coming into the team, back into the team. So, guys, let's get this. Let's pull that poll to an end. Anyway, let's pull that poll to an end. We're gonna pull that poll down and finish that poll. So, what I'm going to do is just end that poll. We're going to start a new poll now. As I'm moving on to talk about a new topic, we're moving on to talk about James Tavernier. We're going to launch a TAV poll. No, not a tadpole, guys, a TAV Ross Wilson extended Hagi's contract while he was still injured. That is now costing us money, says Alan Austin. Look, I think Alan, I think that, Alan, yes, it is Alan. Two Allens. Alan, I do think that there is an awful lot of things that Ross Wilson got wrong. And I think there's a lot of things that Ross Wilson did that he needs to be held accountable for. And I think Nottingham Forest fans are suffering a lot of the consequences of Ross Wilson now. So I'll be honest with you, mate. I'll be absolutely honest with you. Ross Wilson has cost this club an awful lot in terms of contracts, in terms of salaries. I mean, it's not just him. It's the Park family. It's Stuart Robertson. It's a lot of people who are to blame. Fucking nightmare this morning. Right, just 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to switch the mic back. So the poll that's going to go up is about James Tavernier. Tav, shit right back, whatever you want to call him. Okay, so the new poll that I'm going to put up is, do you hope Tav leaves Rangers this week? Yes or no? That's the poll, guys. It's not, do you think he will? The poll is, do you hope? Okay, that's the new poll. So the new poll is, do you hope Tav leaves Rangers this week? Get your votes in, guys, and we'll look at that at the end. Right, let's get some comments before we start. Grant says, come Friday, when all the windows will be closed, you can bet Tav will still be here. Grant, I think there's a good, strong possibility of that. Tav FC fans are deluded. We need to get rid, says Scott. I would rather have Hagi than Diamande, guys all over the place, says Ali Quinn. Strange how Goldson left. Tav has collapsed. Was Goldson carrying him? Michael, that's an interesting point. I'll get to that in a minute. Look, I think Michael makes an interesting point there. I mean, didn't we as well a fall off in Glenn Kamara when Joe Aribo left? Joe Aribo was his big mate, wasn't he? He was his big mate. So, I'll be honest with you. I think with Tav, maybe now Goldson's gone, maybe that's affected him as well. We saw, like I said, with Kamara, when with Rebo left, we saw that affected Kamara. There's always a situation where you are particularly close to people at your workplace and they leave. It does change your workplace, doesn't it? It changes how you feel about your job. It changes about the day-to-day of your job. It changes a lot of things about your job. So it could be that Tav, yes, has been affected by his mate Goldson. Looking in there. Alan Austin says that Tav is looking into extending into the Turkish property market. Mate, you never know. Ali Quinn says here in the chat, he says, remember, mate, it's Clement who picks the team, not Tav. I'm not saying I am. I'm good, Scott. I'm good, mate. How are you? How are you doing? Scott, good to have Scott here. Rangers Journal, guys, remember to check out the Rangers Journal. Fantastic podcast. Please check it out. That's the story. There appears to be a lot of smoke. And there's obviously not a lot of smoke. You don't get a lot of smoke without fire. Okay, that's the situation. You don't get a lot of smoke without fire. These stories are running, and maybe there's a bit of lazy journalism in there. Maybe there's a whole bit of lazy journalism in here. That there's some people saying, oh well, Tav's going to go because, let's face it, he's not wanted here. The fans are having a go at him. The fans are causing trouble. Yada yada yada. Look, I don't know what the situation is, and I'll be honest with you. I think that Gio van Bronckhorst is at Besiktas. Gio van Bronckhorst is formerly a Rangers manager. Gio van Bronckhorst, played Tav on a regular basis. So, is it that we have a bit of truth in these rumours that Gio is genuinely in the market for Tav? Or is it, like I said, just lazy journalism? Is it that they're trying to get the situation there, where we just want to get rid of him? I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. Alan says he'll be closer to his old chuckle buddy. If we want a fee for Hagi, he has to play. I agree with that, Scott. I hope he does. I've heard it all before, though. Mal Ross, hello. Owen from the Rangers Supporters Club in the Philippines. Hello, Muddy. How are you doing? How is the Philippines? Palm Trees and Lunny's Wallies. Ali Quinn, can you play? With the cock you've got. Yeah, true. There we go, mate. That's the link for Rangers Journal. Gallant, pleasure to see you, mate. I haven't seen you in a long time. How you doing, buddy? Curry, we'll get your link up, mate. Oh, let me get Curry's link up as well. Hang on. God, everybody wants a flipping shout out this morning. Everybody. Anybody else want to shout out whilst I'm doing it? I'm going to start charging for shout outs, I think. You know, if I want to go full time with this, maybe I need to start charging for flipping shout outs. You know, a tenner a shout out or something like that. I don't know. Jeez Louise. Right, guys. I'm going to drop Curry's link as well, guys. If you haven't seen Curry's channel, check out Curry's channel. Curry, does that make you happy, buddy? Now, there's your link as well. There's your link as well. Right, let's have a look at some comments. Let's have a look at comments. There we go. Grant says here in the live chat, he says, when a player loses the fans, there's no way back because I don't see Tav being able to up his game again. I think that's a good shout. If the mad thing is, if Tav leaves, we become even weaker, although I still want him gone for the long-term good. Yeah. Gallup, yeah, £2 a shout out. That's fine. Tav has lost his pace of what there is, no doubt. I look at as though he is not interested anymore. Yeah. James, yes, Owen, Pollock loyal. Isn't that quite a nice? No, that's not. Is Pollock a bit dodgy? I remember listening to Frankie Boyle talking about him. Frankie Boyle talking about Pollock, and it wasn't really nice what he said. What's Pollock like, guys? Oh yeah, here we go, another one. Right, okay. I presume that's Jim William. Big shout out to William's uncle Bobby. It's his 50th birthday today. Happy birthday to you, buddy. You have a great day, mate. Hope you have a great day. Pollock is the place where dogs stand on human. It's a shithole. I thought that was Clyde Bank, guys. Anyway, what are we talking about before we got onto the Pollock and Clyde Bank situation? Okay, yeah, let's talk about James Tavernier. Let's get away from Pollock and Clyde Bank. There we go. If Tav leaves, who's the next victim? My money's on Butterland. Cheers, Gallant. You're always there, mate. Thank you. Yeah, Pollock's a nice tasting fish. Is it? I don't eat fish, mate. I don't know. So anyway, Clement, Tav, that's the one, isn't it? Runabout. So Tav to Turkey. Right, look, Tav to Turkey. What do we think about Tav to Turkey? Like I said, we've got the poll up and running at the moment. Do you hope that Tav leaves Rangers? It's 84% saying yes, 16% saying no. Look, I'm going to be careful here. I feel for Tav to some degree, okay? You know, he's had a situation, where he, in the past, he has been a great servant to the club. You know, since he joined, I think it's 2015 he joined, he has been a great servant for the club. His figures, his 125 goals, 131 assists are amazing. You other than, Graham Alexander, Ronald Koeman, people like that, Fernando Hierro, you don't see many defenders with those type of stats. So, his stats in terms of of going forward are great. They're fantastic. But, there comes a point in everybody's... That's a great question, Curry. I'm going to come to that one. Curry's asked a great question, guys. We'll come to that in a minute. If Tav cared more about Rangers than he does his wages, he'd be knocking on the manager's door and having a serious conversation. He can't do any more for the team, a bit like Gary Neville did with Sir Alex Ferguson. Correct, Gallant. I remember Gary Neville asking to be taken off during a game because his performance was so poor. Guys, if you are watching, please smash the like and subscribe to the channel, obviously, to help the channel to keep on growing. And obviously give us a like and a share. So Tav, look, I think at the end of the day, we've reached a point with Tav where he is severely tarnishing his legacy. I think if Tav had walked away at the end of Beale's first season, or he'd walked at the end of last season, I think we could have had a situation where he's not going to get the criticism that he gets now. He's not going to get the slaughtering that he gets now. And the only way for Tav to really overcome the criticism that he is currently getting from supporters, and I'm not saying the abuse is right or wrong, or I'm not saying either way, whether you should be having a go at Tav or not. What I'm saying is that he is tarnishing his legacy. He's in a very difficult position because it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse from this position in. For me, he can't raise his game even further. He just can't. He's at an age now where his legs have gone. I think some of that is due to poor management. I think a lot of that could be down to the fact that the likes of Beale, Gio, Clement as well have overplayed him, overused him. You play a player for 60, 65 game 65 games a season, then you're going to have a situation where you really are going to burn that player out. And I think that's happened with Tav. And the older players get, the more wear and tear it is on them, the more damage it does to them. And I think that is the situation there. You know, I think Clement has done that. Beale's done that. Gio's done that. Gerrard to some degree did that. You know, we've all put Tav in this situation. Now, if there is any truth in these rumours, any truth in these reports that Besiktas are genuinely interested, apparently if they are going to sign him, they're going to have to do some manoeuvring around of money, manoeuvring out of players, etc., etc. Then I hope that the board will do what is right for James Tavernier and what is right for the club. And I think that what is right for the club and what is right for James Tavernier, or Tavernier, or whatever you want to call him, is to let him move on. I mean, let him move on. Genuinely, let the guy go, because I'm sorry to say that if he stays, the abuse is only going to get worse between now and the end of the season, because the team isn't going to get any better between now and the end of the season, unless in January we suddenly get a massive influx of cash and we buy a load of players. Realistically, Tav isn't going to get any better between now and the end of the season. So realistically, for his good, it's time for him to be allowed to move on, and time for him to have to go. Really is. I think there is some extent of that. Curry, I think that Tav does take away from that situation. I think that, you know, people will go after Tav if Tav wasn't here and we were still playing shit and we weren't playing well and we were losing. Yeah, the manager would get more abuse, Curry. I think he would. I honestly think he would. Remember, the whole team needs to take responsibility. Can't just blame Tav because he's the captain. I agree, Ali, but what I'm focusing on is not the losing and not the team playing badly. I'm focusing on how Tav is playing as a player, how Tav is as a player on the park on a Saturday or a Sunday. And so far this season, he has not been good enough for me. Ali, a captain needs to lead. Tav is like a mouse on the park, where he should be going through people. There's definitely an element of mismanagement by the club and the managers over this Tavernier debacle. It's been allowed to continue to rot. Ali says here, if we can make a few quid on him, that's a no-brainer. Absolutely agreed. More abuse of Pollock going on there. At this stage, it's mismanagement from PC. He just sticks with a single idea, and Tav can't cope, unfortunately. I think he will be given to the next old firm, if I'm being honest with you, Scotty. I think he will. Yeah, guys, remember, Rangers Journal only 80 subs away from 2,000. Please help them get there by Saturday. Guys, here's your challenge. I want you to get Rangers Journal to 2,000 subs by Saturday. Don't fail me. Don't let me down. Do it. I agree with the Tunnocks. We say absolutely no contingency plan of our protection over how vulnerable Tav is against Maeda, which tells me he's learned nothing from previous encounters. Pollock is a palace compared to Priest Hill. There we go. If you live in Priest Hill, my apologies. Tav will be the first name on the. He will be. I think. Look, let me tell you this, right? I want to get you all calm down. I want to get you all into a situation now where you stop getting wound up, you stop getting stressed, you stop getting worked up. Right. When I come on live with the breaking team news on Sunday at 10:45, I think it'll be. Yeah, 10:45. James Tavernier will be right back. James Tavernier will be captain, and James Tavernier will be starting against Dundee United. So let's just calm that down, guys. Calm it down. Tav used to let his football do the talking. Sadly, he's struggling now after his hip reflexes surgery, but Clement still plays him. Yeah, I think Ali Clement's got a lot of blame to carry on this if he keeps picking him. What gets me about the whole Tav situation to some degree is this. The manager at the start of the season came out and said that James Tavernier cannot play 50 to 60 games a season. James Tavernier cannot play every minute of every game. James Tavernier cannot be used as he has done previously. And then what's happened? What's happened? He's played him every single game, every single minute. Tav's not been taken off once. He's not been rested once. He's even played the League Cup tie against St Johnstone. He's not been rested at all. Now, I don't get that statement. He cannot play every game or every minute, and we play him every game, every minute. That, for me, makes no sense. Tav will only go if he gets more than the 30k a week he is now on. Remember, he's entitled to a testimonial, says Scott, which I will not be covering on this channel. Scotty, if we lose against Dundee United or Abadoom, we will not see the old firm. The elephant in the room is Clement, people. Says Ali, where is the money coming from to sack him? That's the big thing, isn't it? He will be here. Can we trust me, whether we like it or not? The Elephant Man is in every room, Davey Dons. Lol. Absolutely. I'd take McInnes at this point for sake. He's 32. If we get a transfer fee, we should cash in. It's as simple as that. We've let too many players go of worth and leave for nothing. That's where we absolutely agreed, Mr. Dugster. We have let too many players go for absolutely nothing. 100% agreed on that one. Are we now seeing the Monaco Clermont rather than the Belgian League Clermont we had to start with, says the trying Scotsman. Now, people have talked about replacements for Tav. Who can replace Tav? Now, there is a report in the media that will not go away at this moment in time, which Rangers Journal also featured on their X site as well, guys. Check out Rangers Journal on X. Please check out our X site as well, guys. I want to get to 1,000 subs as soon as possible. 1,000 subs. 1,000 followers on X as soon as possible. So whilst I get it, remember, there we go. You can find us on at OGGRN72 on X. So check us out. If you're on X, check us out on X. Give us a follow. Keep up to date with all the latest goings on the channel. So look, at the end of the day, we're talking apparently about Cyrus Christie. That's the talk. Cyrus Christie is the big talk at this moment in time. Tell Souness to phone Frank Lampard. Surely he would do a better job than the Tinkerman, says Ali Quinn. The board are quite happy to watch us fans blame managers and players while they sit back and get a free ride. Gallant, I think the board carry a hell of a lot of blame for the whole debacle. And like I said, I am going to talk about the board and the restructure that's needed to get this club moving forward very shortly, guys. That is on another pod. I'm planning that pod at the moment. Clement has a duty to put out the best team and protect the players in his squad. With Tav, he's doing neither. He's not nurturing Sterling either, for that matter, Tav's natural successor. Agreed. Morning, John, by the way. Sorry if I didn't say morning. Look, I think at the end of the day, what we need to do is I think there is a player in Cyrus Christie. He's 31. Yes, I think it will be a short-term gig. I don't think it will be a long-term one. I think it will be just a case of bringing him in from the free agent market. And, you know, Philippe Clement did talk about looking at the free agent market, looking at free agents, evaluating free agents, you know, looking at those. Cyrus Christie is a free agent. Cyrus Christie as a player, you know, it has a vast CV of experience. He really genuinely does have a vast CV of experience. I mean, this is where he is as a player. You know, he's played for Derby, Coventry, Fulham, Hull City, Forest, Middlesbrough, Swansea as well. You know, he's had a vast experience there. He's played a lot of games. He's a very experienced player. He's quick. He's fast. He's strong. Now, he has just come back from an injury. He had a hamstring injury, I think it was. That's why Hull dumped him. But if you look back across his career, he has not got a long history of injuries. He's not a player that has a bad injury history. He's 31. You know, yeah, a short-term fix. I think Scott's right. Christie would be a good short-term fix. 100%, he would be a short-term fix. We're not saying for a minute. I think we signed Cyrus Christie and he's all right back for the next 3 years. But to come in to provide cover, I think that's the answer, because at the moment in time, you've got Dujon Sterling, who is, because of the fact we are light in midfield, we are light out wide, is being used as a midfielder, as a winger, because of the fact we don't have sufficient bodies to cover those positions. So, yes, in an ideal world, I would play Dujon Sterling at right back, but my issue here is we don't have enough players in midfield or on the wings to cover. So we're having to use players who can play there, and that's Sterling. Now, yes, Casan Virgio can play as a right back. I don't think Clement sees him as a right back. I think he sees him more as a centre back. So Cyrus Christie, I think, will be a very good short-term fix. Like I said, this is a player who is physical. He's quick. He's strong. He's a player who, you know, can get forward. He's a player who, you know, has got a reasonably good assists record as well. Yeah, I would look at him. Look at him. Definitely. You know, that's the next captain question, obviously. I mean, we'll talk about that at some point as well. Where are we going with our comments? Alan Austin says, shove this Cyrus Christie nonsense where it belongs. That's a step backwards. He could go to Coventry if you want him. Mate, I fucking hate Coventry. It's a shithole. Absolutely can't stand the place. I know absolutely nothing about this lad, Christie, says Gallant. Like I said, he's a decent enough player. He's played in the Premier League. He's played in the Championship. He's got a big CV of experience. And as a short-term measure, which I think we would need a short-term fix, a short-term measure. I think he's all right for a short-term. And I'm not, Alan, for a minute saying he's our long-term answer, because he isn't. He's 31. But on a short-term contract, I can't see that's been bad. And like I said, I think, yes, in an ideal world, we start Sterling at right back and we have Cass as his backup. But Sterling, because of the fact we are so light in midfield, we are so light out wide, we're having to use Sterling as a CDM, Sterling as a right winger, Sterling as a left winger. And I think that need is kind of more pressing at this moment in time. It's just where we are as a club at this moment in time. Barron or Sterling for Scott as the next captain. I think, like I've said before, a short-term measure for me would be Leon Balogun. That would be my short-term measure. Short-term measure would be Leon Balogun as captain. Dado Perso says, leave Coventry alone. I was head chef there when they were at Highfield Road. Mate, Coventry are interested in him. I know that. Yeah, I live in the Coventry area, Dado. I live literally. Why do I hate Coventry so much? Right. I hate Coventry so much for a couple of reasons. One, I live not far from Coventry, and it is an absolute fucking dump. It is one of the most dirty, disgusting, horrible cities in the world. Right. That's the first reason I hate Coventry. Second reason is I live around a lot of Coventry fans, a lot of Coventry shitty fans, and the rubbish they come out with, the rubbish you hear from them. I mean, I had a Coventry fan the other day telling me that Coventry City are a bigger club than Rangers, that Coventry City are a better club than Rangers. I mean, deluded or what? Deluded or what? And also, one of my ex-girlfriend lives in Coventry, and I can't stand her either. So there you go. There we go. There we go. Good question, William. I don't know. I think that's again overuse. Yeah, Leon is too injury prone. Butland, look, short term. Curry says it's one of the few places I've ever been. What, you've never been there, Curry, or you have been there? Yeah, don't go there. If you've never been to Coventry, guys, and someone offers you the chance to go to Coventry, don't go to Coventry. Look, the best thing that happened to Coventry was the Luftwaffe. The Luftwaffe was the best thing that ever happened to Coventry. But getting back to what we were talking about, Tav. Right, okay, so if this happens, if this comes off, I think, it is good for the club in the long term. I think if we can make this final breakaway from the past, and I think Tav is kind of the final link back to the past, isn't he? This I think would put us in a position where we can really, rebuild completely. Don't go, Curry. Don't go. We really can rebuild 100% and start properly again. A new captain, new right back, new leadership, a complete new leadership group. I think that's something else we need. For me, there's no leadership in this team at all at the moment in time. Tav is not a leader. We've heard about Proper being a leader. Haven't seen any evidence of it yet, but we need a new leadership group within the team. Balogun, Barron, Sterling. We need a new young leadership group to come on, to take over. I think that's definitely something we do need. And I think getting rid of Tav would enable us to finally set up that new leadership group for me. Cameron took the extension to his contract because he knows he'd be fired, hence a bump up for your payout. Curry's never been. Curry, like I said, don't go. Send Curry to Coventry for that. Lol. Yes, funny. I thought it was only the bad folk who got sent to Coventry. Yeah, that's Ali. That's true. Thanks, Ali. There's no leadership at every single level of the club from the board down. Agreed. But William, this is a good point from William, actually. We should have signed Big Ellis Sims when he left Hearts to go back to Everton, then on to Coventry. We went to Sunderland on loan before going to Coventry, mate. So, yeah, he's a good player. Ellis Sims is a very good player. He's big, he's physical, he's strong. He's a good striker. He'd have been a really good signing. Really good signing. Bringing in a free transfer goes against what I think Rangers are trying to do right now, and that's reduce wages, not a rebuild. Yeah, I mean, that's partly it, Curry. I think, there is an element of that in what we're doing at the moment. But I do think that Cyrus Christie could be a good short-term replacement for Tav, given the fact that, like I said, in an ideal world, Sterling and Cass is your right back and your backup right back. So I do think that is a strong one. Downsizing, yeah, I agree with that. It's not a rebuild, it's a downsizing. That's pretty accurate, I think, at the moment. We have slashed, I think, 35 million annually off our wage bill. 35 million annually off our wage bill. Right, guys, that is it for this morning. I've got to go and get ready for work. Thank you very much for watching the Glasgow Rangers Nation morning show. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10:20 again, so come and join us for that. Look out for the thumbnail, look out for the theme of the podcast. Tomorrow, we've got a busy day tomorrow here on the channel, so 10:20, so just to give you a bit of a Then at 1 a.m. we have the members only Q&A. So if you're a member of the channel, you can come and join the members Q&A from 1 a.m. So 1 p.m., not 1 a.m., 1 p.m. even is the members Q&A, guys. So now it's in the so remember to come on tomorrow at 1 a.m. please. Yeah, I know there's something, my microphone keeps tripping out. I don't know what is wrong with it at the moment. It's a pain in the arse. I'm going to try and fix that in a minute. So tomorrow, 1 a.m., 1 p.m., sorry, members only, guys. So come and join that. And then at 8 o'clock in the evening, we have the evening podcast. Please obviously come and join for that.